Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So, because we have a program today after the Kiddush, I'm going to give you a super fast sermon, like 3-minute Torah. Parashat Pinhas is well known, Parsha, for its dramatic story of zealotry. Pinhas, a grandson of Aaron, a grandson of a great priest and the priest himself, sees an Israelite man and a Midianite woman blandly singing, not singing, but singing, committing a sin. Filled with zeal for the honor of God, he kills them. And instead of being punished for this violent act, God rewards him with a covenant of peace and perpetual priesthood for him and his descendants. This story is often understood as an example of religious extremism, but we can also see it from a different perspective, as an act of selfless commitment to an ideal greater than oneself. Pinhas, driven by his love for God and his people, steps into a dangerous situation, risking his own life to put an end to a spiritual and moral crisis that was threatening his community. I, as you can imagine, never liked Pinhas because he was cruel. He killed people. But since the beginning of the war, I started to look at his story slightly differently. You know that Ukraine is under severe constraints, and its people are in the midst of suffering and turmoil during the war. The courageous volunteers who are stepping up to help, they are in some way emulating the spirit of Pinhas. They are not resorting to violence, but they are putting their own lives at risk for a greater cause, the well-being of their fellow human, the preservation of peace and human dignity. We need to remember that every act of kindness, every risk taken to help another, is a manifestation of zeal for a higher cause. So as we learn from Pinhas, we are called to act not out of anger or violence, but from a place of a deep concern for the welfare of our community and our world. Each of us, in our own way, can step forward to make a difference, just like Pinhas and just like volunteers in Ukraine. And that brings me to today's special event after the service, and our guest David Breimer, who is sitting there in the back. And I'm sure many of you read the announcement in Manishma and in the emails, but I would like to introduce him officially. And David is a combat medic who served in the US Army and Israeli Army, and when the full-scale war in Ukraine broke out, he made a selfless decision to go to a country he had never been to and did not know anyone there. He had a mission for saving lives, as many lives as he could. And if you want to know his story, please stay after the Kiddush, and we will have a conversation today where you will be able to ask him questions, and I will ask him some questions. And don't forget that tomorrow we have a part 2 of this event. In the morning, we'll have a service here at 9 a.m., and then the breakfast, and then we'll continue the conversation with unique photo and video materials that David brought with him. And this is really a unique opportunity to learn from him. He will tell you things that you never heard before. I can guarantee you that, because his perspective is not like mine, not like any of us, because his perspective is from the battlefield. And it's a huge honor to welcome him into our community, Beth Tikvah. So in conclusion, the story of Pinhas and the actions of these volunteers like David remind us that we are called to take a stand in times of crisis. It's our duty to work for peace, to protect life, and to aid those in need, even if it requires personal sacrifice. May we all find the courage to answer that call, and may we see a world of peace and unity speedily in our day. And let us say, Amen.